And we're live. Welcome to NoChaNoMa, Simon's Living Room. And welcome to Pablo from Arizona. Hello, Pablo. Nice to see you. And for those joining later or now, very special guests all the way from Berlin. It's been a while. There's been quite a lot going on in the intervening period, including a virus that you all know about. But they've managed to triumph all that and are here now and will be playing shamisen music just for you. I shall put them on and shut up and let them play. Here we go. Hooray! Thank you very much. That was wonderful. Hey, well, for those of you who just joined and those of you who will be joining later, this is Mitsune, shamisen trio from Berlin. And please introduce yourselves. Saves me the trouble.
My name is Yuka.
I'm Shomi.
And Tina.
That's it.
And
There's no one hiding behind the tree.
There's nobody. Yes, yes. They do have occasional sort of guest percussionists and guest cello players and so on and so forth. But essentially, this is the trio Mitsune, and that was indeed a track from one of your latest tracks, actually, from your upcoming 2021 new album.
Yes.
So welcome back to the show. It's been a while.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, as I was saying in the introduction, there were lots of things sort of cropping up in the meantime. Not the least of which is the pandemic.
What pandemic?
But you've made it, which is brilliant. Now, this was a track that for those of you who are interested, and if you look in the links on my advert, you will find Mitsune's YouTube channel. It appears on their YouTube channel. It's one of the tracks they've recently uploaded. Could you tell us a little bit about it? I mean, because it doesn't sound particularly Japanese, apart from the shamisen music. It sounds kind of almost Middle Eastern, to my way of hearing.
Well, yeah, I think we should pass this one over to Shiomi because she is the composer of this track. And the name of the song is Hazama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's I think I'm using still Japanese some scales. Like I'm inspired, and so it's a very great surprise to hear. Something sounds like different. Yeah, and I just made this song because at the time, I'm out of Japan and playing this instrumental, and sometimes I'm not really like connect to Japan anymore, but still I try, or like I try to connect here to survive, or because I want, but always difficult to be very much like 100% something else, and I'm always like somewhere middle, and the between the meaning is Hazama in Japan.
That's the meaning.
Yeah. So that's why I'm always like feeling somewhere limbo, like going to flowing. I'm looking for like something else. So that's the song.
So it's from the heart kind of a song, sort of. Yes, that's good.
Yeah, it's really like a very feeling song. And also I wanted to make this song for Mitsune because I want to make a harmonize, like also not only this instrument, just more voice also. So
yes, I noticed that. I mean, I think that's one of the first times I've heard you actually singing in such harmony. Yes, and not to say that you're not harmonious. But I mean, yes, it's the first time I've heard you sort of do that. Really, yes, it works very well. Yeah. So, leading on from that, I mean, obviously, where are my questions? Questions. That's it. Right. That's I have so many tabs open. That's the thing. Right.
You know how to use a computer, Simon?
I do. I'm
joking.
Two or three glasses, it kind of gets a bit fuzzy.
I'm joking. Sorry, the Australian humor is probably a bit abrasive sometimes.
Super Blaster 2 says Simon digging his way out of the hole. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, the first question is rather redundant. Have you, as a group, been composing new pieces since the last album? I mean, I wrote this months ago when I'd first decided to get you back, and obviously. And is there second question? This leads nicely into the second question. Is there indeed a new album ready to hit the shelves soon?
Yes. Ooh, secret. No, actually, it's no secret. We, with this year going a little differently than we had hoped, we have had to focus our energy kind of differently. So we spent a bit of time working on videos. We released these two, Hazama and another song called Rokugo, which we'll play later. But we spent a lot of time and energy on making those videos. And now, of course, with the new songs, also we have some new ones from Tina. We all have written some new songs, and we're also preparing some our own arrangements of some traditionals, and we have a few tricks up our sleeve, but we're working on kind of pre-production for the album at the moment, so just finishing off the songs. And there will be some guest artists on the album. So we'll do a lot of the album with the 5-piece, which you see in these 2 videos that we released recently. So with a percussionist, his name is Petros Tsekos from Greece, and a double bass player, Noriko Okamoto from Japan.
Oh, they appeared in the video, didn't they?
Yes, they're both in those videos. And we're kind of looking at working with them as much as we can, really, more regularly, because it brings a different vibe and sound to the group. So yeah, so a lot of the album will be with the 5-piece, and then we'll have a few secret guests. We'll leave those to be a surprise, but we have some very talented Berlin-based artists, Japanese and European, who will feature on the album as well. So yeah, we're very excited. We're going to start recording, I think, in November. And we're working with a record label called Edelflower Records, and they are helping us a lot, being very, very generous with their time. And yeah, they're gonna do all the recording and the tech side of it for us, and then we'll probably do a limited run of vinyl, and we'll release early next year, I'd say. Yeah.
Because I've got a question here from one of the audience, Pablo from Arizona, one of my regulars. Just a question. He says, has the group Mitsune ever considered having a track with a Mongolian throat singer?
Do you want to answer this one, Tina?
Well, we have met singers with throat singing experience, and it was quite special. I can just relieve your arm here. Sorry. So there's definitely an interesting side to that. So I would be in to this experiment. Yes. I think it matches really well because the shamisen has overnotes, so overtones, and would be nice to have someone with undertone singing.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, there you are, Pablo. I mean, watch out, watch this space. Your idea has been taken on board. And I'll just announce to Mitsune, in the audience today, we have obviously Pablo from Arizona. We have Peppo67 from Holland. We have Tomo L. Hi, Tomo L. I'm doing my best American accent here. And that's all you're going to get, Tomo. Tomo from Shikoku. She said I should have spoken in an American accent because she's learning English, and she's learning English with an American accent and finds my British English rather difficult. So
we would love to hear you try an American accent. Simon.
That was it. That's all you're going to get unless I have a few more glasses of wine. We have Dibble from London, and my friend who I was watching her live stream this morning. We have Chuck the Magpie, my singer friend from Japan, but she's living currently in Hong Kong and designing costumes for Greek tragedy at her course. And Nosh Abroad from San Francisco. Hi, Nosh. So those are all the. I think I've got everybody at the moment, but they're all there. That accent was bad. Oh, Super Blaster. Super Blaster is a voice actor, and he can attest to the fact that yes, my accent was bad, and I shall stick to this one. Okay. Right, let's get on with the questions because it's a show about you and not about my bad voice. I've seen lots of activities on Facebook of Tina. Tina cooking. Tina stroking a cat. Tina making tea, Tina breaking cups. I did mention on your Instagram that you should get some gold wire and fix it.
Actually, that's what I'm gonna do. So
okay, or did you smash it on purpose to do that? And also Tina with new kimonos. And I've seen Xiaomi if you watch the advert, you'll see a little bit of Xiaomi on the building in Shibuya at the beginning of the advert, and that was taken from not Shibuya, but the bit with Xiaomi. That was taken from an advert from a German television news program where she appeared in a castle garden with some other friends performing a performance piece. So Xiaomi has been busy, but what I need to know is the lady in the middle, Yuka. What have you been up to all this time?
Well, my couch has seen a lot of me. No, just kidding. I've actually been really busy. So you may or may not know this, but I also play the violin. Actually, the violin is my main instrument. And I have been doing a lot of recording work during this period of no performances. I've kind of pivoted more into recording work. So I do a lot of recording work for film and television productions, for soundtracks, and also I've done a little bit of recording. I've kind of started up in a new kind of French music project, doing vocals for them. So
in French.
Yeah, it's weird. I have to sing in French, so I don't really know what I'm singing, but yeah, I know. I haven't shown the girls yet because I'm a bit shy about it. No, it's a really great project. It's not. I didn't write in any of the music in the project. I just sing it. So it's nice to be involved in a project sometimes where you just join the band and learn the tunes, and it's a bit lower pressure than usual. But yeah, I've just been doing those things. Of course, managing the band. Like, even though there've been no performances, there's still been a lot to manage behind the scenes with Mitsune, and organizing the 2 videos that we did was a lot of work. But of course, it's not just me doing the work. The girls do a lot of work as well. But
She's doing a great job.
oh, thank you. And also applying for a lot of festivals for next year. Like, I'm really hoping that the materials that we spend time on this year, like our new album and the videos and stuff like that, will help us to do some bookings next year, which that's what that's where we excel, is performing. So yeah.
So you're saying sort of bookings for next year, and that leads nicely onto question 5. And how has the current lockdown affected your calendar of events this year? Presumably, it's knocked it completely out of the park.
Well, it was just an avalanche of nothing, wasn't it? It was we had an avalanche of cancellations. That's what we had. Yeah. Actually, like 2020 was set up to be the biggest year yet for Mitsune. Yeah, we had a lot of things booked and lots of great stuff on the horizon, and we were going to do cherry blossom festivals in Copenhagen and all sorts of lovely things like that. But anyway, it's that's the way the cookie crumbles. There's a lot of people in a lot worse situations than us, so we can only be grateful for our health, that we have somewhere safe to be, and that we have each other. So yeah, I mean, I think as Mitsune, we've done just one performance, which was the one that was filmed for the videos, and then Shiomi and I did a very small, like, street food thing. So we really haven't had any bookings. So yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, we just pivoted into focusing more on creating recorded material, be that video or audio. Yeah, that's what the year has been so far.
I feel very unproductive listening to all that.
Well, you shouldn't. You've still been running your show, which is great that you can still do that from the safety of your home.
Yes. I mean, occasionally I go out and actually meet the people I've. I mean, Peppo in the comments there, and I was telling you before about the Japanese painter. I haven't met him yet, actually, and we were planning to meet, but that does happen occasionally, and it will happen hopefully with you guys. Once I can get round to it.
Absolutely, we hope so.
And speaking of fans and so on, I mean, I know my age and I know my demographic, but I'm not sure if I asked you this last time. But do you know the demographic for your audience? I mean, not that it really matters as such, but are they mostly under 40 or over 40? We've got an audience here of a mixture of that age and above.
I think it's a mixture. It's more like something genre, but people like it, like jazz or like metal sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like also young people listen. Some people like anime or and they already know this instrumental or just maybe listening. So it's a mixture, I think.
So yeah, so you can get profit on all levels. You can appeal to a broad audience. Yeah. So I noticed on the last video. I mean, and also at the beginning there, you Shiomi was playing the. I'm not quite sure which particular flute. It's Shinabue? No, flute? No. Yeah. Right, there's the Japanese one of the kinds of Japanese flutes, but and that you have had guest percussionists, like you said, the ones that appeared on the. But how often do you include other instruments, traditional or otherwise, in your pieces?
Wow. When we need some kick or vibe, rhythm, yeah, just
When
like
you're fed up with shamisen, you know?
But I think we play more with traditional songs mixed with taiko, like drum. And we each play, like everyone play another percussion as well, because it's just for also fun and to know more, get songs. Yeah, because also like this folk songs are played with shinobue or shamisen, also drum. So why not we play?
Ah, yes, that's
Like
true.
full
Yeah,
sounds. That's why. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, you decide yourselves. You know, it's not something that you know that's automatic. It's you see what it needs. Yeah.
Well, I would say we consciously decide to use other instruments, so we are not sticking to, this is a traditional, we need taiko flute and singing. But if we have the feeling that it might give something to the piece that we find enjoyable, then we add it. And I would say it's increasing that we're using other instruments, not just traditional Japanese, but also other instruments. And there's a wider scope. It's really interesting to experience with that.
I mean, this is something. I mean, it's not related to any of the questions here, but I've been like reading up on tsuguru shamisen, and that the fact that tsuguru shamisen had really only evolved about 100 years ago, in the 1920s, and that it became kind of known in Japan and recorded then, and that from the beginning, it often did involve adaptations and developments. As you say, when we were talking to you before, there's two schools of shamisen, tsuguru shamisen, but also you have like people who stick to the more traditional styles right from the beginning, and then people who adapt and add other instruments and so on. So it's it's like a modern traditional. I called it. I said to my friend Chuck that it was quite surprising to me. I think you think of tsuguru shamisen and you think of it's traditional Japanese folk, but then when you investigate, it's not that as such. I'll just transfer to here because we've got a guy here behind me called Chisato Yamada, who you probably have heard of him, but the audience may not have. And he is one of the original tsuguru shamisen players, born in about 1931, and he kind of brought it. Was one of the ones that brought it to the attention of Greater Japan, as it were, and it became popular in his time, which was in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s. So it's still quite modern in that sense. So bringing in other instruments, is quite normal, really, for tsuguru shamisen. What do you say?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think also a point that should be made is that we have no pretensions about being a traditional group. So I wouldn't even call Mitsune, even though we all play the instrument tsugaru shamisen. Is this the picture?
That's the one.
I can't see it because the screen's far away, but it looks very lovely. It looks colorful and nice. Gorgeous. Fabulous.
I shall explain that in a moment. Yes, but
okay. But yeah, all I wanted to say was that we know that even though we play the tsugaru shamisen, we're not a traditional tsugaru shamisen group. We don't just play godai, we don't just play the tsugaru repertoire, and also minyo, which is the folk songs, which I guess fits into a different category. We do play some minyo, of course, and we play some tsugaru repertoire, but we know that we're not just a traditional group, and we write a lot of originals, and we're kind of going down a direction of expanding and trying to see what we can do with the shamisen and how far we can take it.
Mm.
In the direction that's within all of our tastes, like we're not making metal or something on shamisen, although some of what we play is a little bit
Metal, yeah. Yeah.
So but you know what I'm saying, that we're finding our style now, and I think it's getting away anyway from being plainly traditional.
I mean, just to explain to the audience what this picture is behind me, the origins of tsuguru shamisen go back to the early 20th century. And prior to that, it was in the hands of blind women itinerant shamisen players called goze. And it was blind male shamisen players that kind of stole their material and ran with it and created tsuguru shamisen in the beginning of the 20th century. So
the girls are taking it back now.
Yes.
We're taking it back.
Another point I'd like to make is also related to a question here. It's a bit out of sequence. Is that if you look at the photograph, you can see all the women are wearing like folk costume, as it were. My question was, where I can find it. Sort of when you perform, often when you look at Mitsune in their videos and so on, they're all wearing very lovely kimonos, very smart. And the male tsuguru shamisen players, often the ones I've seen, all wear their smart. I can't remember the particular name of it, but it's the male kimono with the mon on it and everything.
Riding pants, that's also right.
Yeah, hakoma. Yeah, and all very formal, all very neat, and presumably, sort of Western people would think, oh, that's very traditional. Whereas actually, folk music, they kind of wear rags, basically, which is. I've got this picture to go about. This is boro, as it's called, which is Edo period folk cloth. And they were just so poor that they couldn't afford to buy new stuff, so they just patched everything together and kept it going for generations. And so that's really what you should be wearing, actually, when you're doing traditional. You should be wearing rags, you guys, not kimonos. But I mean,
yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't think even in those photos, if they're the studio photos, but I don't think it's costumes. Well, it's their clothing, right? So, and you were referring to the musicians wearing hakama and kimono, but I think that's the nature of the stage musician. So when you have people in Western concert halls playing in a symphony orchestra, they're also suiting up. So
yes, but I mean, I also mentioned in my question, imagine a German folk group, just for the purposes of comparison. If you imagine a German folk group, all with like white bow ties and black dresses and doing German folk music, that would be the equivalent of people dressed in kimonos playing traditional tsuguru, wouldn't you think?
No, I would not think. I would disagree because kimono per se is not traditional. Kimono can be traditional, depends on the kimono. So it's rather a fashion. It's a genre of fashion, and there is formal kimono, informal kimono, and we don't stick to the, let's say, proper kimono attire, but we are also playing with it as a piece of fashion. So one example that comes to mind, we had this performance at the opening of the Spy Museum, and they asked us to play next to the James Bond installation. We were really thinking, what's the perfect outfit for that? And we went for so for a black, very tuxedo-like kimono. But it's the only reason we chose it. It's because it's black.
Yes. So basically, I mean, it was just a bit of a fun question, really. I mean, I mean, and also as an addendum to that question, when I was researching it, I discovered that the folk players were dressed up by the record companies, saying you've got to look nice when you go on stage. They didn't like them wearing their rags. So yes, you're in the good tradition.
Actually, I wouldn't mind adding to that Tina's answer, because I think like also, so sometimes we'll play in, say, like a Western outfit, like what we would normally wear on the stage, or not wearing around the house like tracksuit pants, but like what something smart that we would wear on the stage, and then we'll wear like haori on top, or sometimes we'll wear like a black top, like a Western style black top, but we will wear hakama on the bottom or something like that. So I think it kind of fits in with what I was saying before about that we know that we're not a traditional band per se, and so although we incorporate kimono elements, and sometimes we do dress quite formally. For example, if we played at the Japanese embassy, which we have done before, we will very carefully dress in iromuji, for example, kimono style, because the occasion calls for it. As guests and as performers, we're expected to look smart, and if we can wear kimono and wear it well, why not wear that? But I think we've started to experiment a bit more with like kimono looks that aren't just kimono. So I don't know, I guess it kind of, in a way, it suits what we're doing as well, because it's really an aesthetic choice. It's not coming down to authenticity or accuracy. Like, if you're saying, you play tsugaru instruments, so it's a
You
folk
should be wearing
instrument, so you should be wearing folk rags.
rags.
But it really doesn't apply to what we're doing. Plus, we want to look glamorous, we want to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that leads nicely into the next musical interlude, because you're all now not wearing typical tsuguru rags or whatever. But the next piece is, I do believe, a traditional, or at least a traditional piece. So I will shut up. And Pablo will be excited. It's not Sorambushi, Pablo, but it's something else. But
I'll announce what it is. It's called Hisho no Hibiki, and it's a tsugaru style piece, but it was actually written by the teacher of our teacher, Tina and my teacher. So our teacher is Hibiki Ichikawa. Shout out to Hibiki if he's ever going to watch this or if he's there right now. And his teacher is Ichikawa Sensei. He lives in Kanazawa, and this is a piece written by him. And we hope we do it justice. So Hisho no Hibiki.
Hooray! Audience is also clapping, I should imagine. It's very, very. I mean, I've read the repertoire of the standard repertoire for Tsuguru shamisen. It's quite derivative, very Jongorabushi style. But that's for those in the audience that are not familiar. Tsuguru shamisen is basically themes upon which you improvise. So I mean that's understandable that that will be that you would get that kind of sound coming through from the main. I mean there are like 20 or so sort of main or 5 big ones, Jongura ones or something. Yeah, you have to look it up. Google it, people. I mean, it's but yes, I mean, hang on, go back to my questions. Where are we? But I mean, yes, I mean, going back to an earlier question, where was it? I've lost it. But the gist of the question was, which do you prefer to play? Which do you prefer to play? The traditional or your own compositions or modern compositions? Which ones sort of get you going?
Question. We prefer both in a nice balance. So I think we would be very unhappy if we had to stick to just one.
Yes, and there's no obligation to do that, obviously. Yeah, so you get your sort of like folk purist. Oh no.
Well, we like to just add something to the folk songs, or yeah.
Oh, that was the question. Do each of you have a particular personal preference regarding Tsuguru shamisen music, solo instrumental pieces, or as an accompaniment? Which I mean,
yeah. So my preference is instrumental, but I like the trio stuff, so there's more options to it.
Actually, my answer is really similar to Tina's. I like instrumental music. I mean, it's nice to accompany a singer as well, but that's usually in a fairly traditional setting. But yeah, I really like instrumental music, and I love shamisen groups. Whether it's a large group or a smaller group, like Yoshida Kyodai is probably what dragged me into Tsugaru shamisen style to begin with, and they do a lot of stuff where they harmonize with one another rather than everyone playing in unison, and that's something that I really enjoy. And Shio-chan?
Yeah, I think I like balance, but more start was solo because it's like if play band, but there's someone play start the solo and really flexible, don't know where going, and suddenly come back same time and playing together. So that the combination is really for me fantastic. All the time, yes, and also fun to play.
Yes, it's like it's often been compared to rock music, shamisen, Tsuguru shamisen, and in the sense also not just of the sound, but also in terms of the solos, where people can go off and jam and do a solo, and as Shami was saying, just come back in and it all flows together. Also like jazz, in that sense. And obviously you've got jazz background as well. You studied jazz as well, so. That plays a lot into it, I should imagine.
Yeah, definitely. I think we all enjoy smashing out a bit of a solo. We usually leave place for it. In particularly in the songs that we compose, it usually has a section where someone can do a solo. We're achievers,
So, I mean, this is sort of slightly off tack. But it's related to the earlier questions of your of the audience and everything, and also possibly the current situation. But I was reading before earlier when I was doing some research that there have been 2 main phases of shamisen, Tsuguru shamisen popularity, and there was the first phase when it was first recorded in the 1920s and 30s, and people all in the city became interested in that kind of thing. And then it took off again in the 60s, and then it faded out in the 80s and came back in the 2000s. And I seem to remember coming across it in sort of 2013, 14, 15. It seemed to have been resurging then. But then I recently read that one of the main makers of shamisen in Tokyo, partly because of coronavirus, but partly because of just not enough people were buying shamisens, that they decided to close, but they kept open because overseas shamisen players and school-age shamisen players in Japan all clubbed together and said, "No, please don't close," and ordered shamisens and so on. And the point of the question is, have you noticed yourselves any kind of leveling off or decline in interest in it since you started, or do you think it's been developing or it's remained steady?
Whenever I talk to Japanese shamisen players, they often say there's not so many young people playing it. So I don't know, maybe you can refer to that better. But as I see it from the foreigner perspective, from the European point of view, I would say it's increasing. So more and more people are playing the shamisen, and I'd say it's a problem to obtain instruments here. So it's really hard to buy a shamisen from Japan, and maybe that's what's happening now. Would be good to have an online shop in an English language for those.
Yeah.
Would be really, really, really nice, because I bought three shamisen for just the ones for me, and it helped a lot of other people getting shamisen. It's so hard.
I mean, Xiaomi, have you noticed? I mean, obviously you've been back to Japan in between, and I remember from the last show we did, you talked about the time that you learnt shamisen by getting cake, and from your teacher. Perhaps that's what we do. You get free cake with every shamisen bought or something.
Yes. Otherwise, I didn't start. So I'm really appreciating my teacher to sneaky way.
But I mean, there seems to be. I mean, because this shop survived because school children who are learning shamisen in Japan all clubbed together and bought shamisens and so on. So, do you think in or do you know in Japan is it still taught? Is it still sort of is it still sort of like something that's popular amongst the younger generation?
Yeah, well, I think still keep same amount, like, or maybe better than my generation, because when I was a kid in school, there's no any Japanese instrumental, only like Western instrumental. And I play flute, clarinet, piano, the things, and that was the main things. Also, like a guitar. And it was the main. But now, as like example, my teachers start to go to school, and there's some Japanese instrumental course, or like time a little bit more, so the kids can touch about this Japanese instrumental for real. And for me, instrumental is like first time real touching and gets really interested. So very important, I think, this education as well. Also, I hope this Japanese government gonna help a little bit more culture things. Yeah. And also why like people really less getting now is like how people living is getting changing. Like people move to city, and no more so much like space can make really big sounds.
Yes, I can't imagine people in apartments being very appreciative of the next door neighbor practicing.
Yeah, right. Like sometimes okay, but every day it's but a little bit. So like also like shamisen maker is making like how less sounds and can practice things. So it will be, I hope, better. Yeah.
Well, let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So that will lead me into the next musical interlude, because now shamisen up to date, as it were, and this is one of your latest pieces that will be appearing on the album. And for those of you who want to see how they did it in Berlin. Well, they're doing it in Berlin now, but I mean, the performance that they did, it's on YouTube, but they're going to play for it one of the tracks for us now from that performance. I
Yes.
shall let you introduce it, Yuka, and then I shall
Thank
put you
you.
on.
Yes. Yeah, this one is called Rokugo. And yeah, we also have a video of this tune with the 5-piece, which is really great because this is a very rhythmic. It's based on, so the reason why it's called Rokugo is because it's an exploration of 6/4 and 5/4 time signatures, which are kind of unusual time signatures to use. So we kind of play around with those time signatures, and Roku meaning 6, Go meaning 5. So it's just 6/5. So yeah, we hope you like it. We just need to tune a little bit for this one because it has also an unusual tuning. So yeah, Rokugo.
Okay. I shall put you tune. I always confuse the tuning with actual part of the song, but here we go. Hooray! Oh, wrong one. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, wonderful. It sounded quite Moorish, if you know what I mean.
Moorish, really?
Moorish.
I don't know what that is.
Well, Spanish Moors, the sort of like Arabic, the Arabic invaders of Spain, and they had a kind of a legacy of music with Spanish, kind of Spanish Spanish sort of,
Yes.
especially the middle section where you were doing the solo part.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I don't know. Somehow, this is one of I sort of I was the one who composed this song, and yeah, I don't know. I think there was a bit of a Spanish flamenco and Arabic influence, definitely, in the scales chosen and some of the rhythmic patterns. Also, you'll see in the video that we did in Berlin, in the middle section where Shiomi was tapping on her, or kind of clapping on the shamisen. There's a whole kind of percussive section with our percussionist and Shiomi playing kane, which is a percussion instrument. Which
that metal ring thing. Yeah, I like that. That's sort of like Bonodori sound. That gets you.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's a little preview of what we're going to play at the end of this show.
Oh, great! Right,
yes.
get your Bon gear on, everybody. And,
exactly. Yes, get your bonbon. So yeah, I would recommend everyone go and watch that video and drop some love and give us your comments and tell us what you think, because yeah, we love hearing from people. So yeah, please go and check out our videos and comment on, let us know.
Yes, and all the links are in the advert to Mitsune's social media. So go there. I have 2 channels. It's very confusing, I know, but this is the live stream channel. It's on my old channel, the advert. But yeah. Anyway, where are we? Questions. I have to get so many tabs. What was the next question I was going to ask? Yes, that was one of the questions. Obviously, we can't really go anywhere at the moment. But had you had any plans as a trio before this event happened to go to Japan together? And is that likely next year?
Yes, so we actually had a very strong plan to go there this year. We were hoping to perform at Hyakumangoku Matsuri, which is in Kanazawa. We were invited there by Ishikawa Sensei, the teacher of our teacher. But and we have actually several other contacts around Japan. Who else were we going to go? We were going to go see Kevin Metz in
Blimey.
We were going to go to see Kimura-san, Yoshiyuki Kimura in Hokkaido, which we were really looking forward to. We were also hoping to go to Okinawa as well as Tokyo. We have a lot of contacts with Reigen Fuji and a couple of people in Tokyo, Shiomi-san's teacher. So sorry, that came out wrong. That sounded like Reagan is Shiomi-san's teacher. Reagan and Shiomi-san's teacher. Tsutomu Harada is Shiomi-san's teacher. So, yeah, we had a lot of plans in place. But anyway, we're looking at applying for some funding to get over there next year instead. And, yeah, we hope that all works out, because we really are keen to see how audiences in Japan respond to what Mitsune does, because we don't just play traditional music, as you know. Yeah, I mean, our dream is to go there with the 5-piece. So that's what we're trying to get funding for. This is
what, it's not cheap.
No, exactly. Yeah, accommodation, flights, blah, 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 travel, everything. But yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it happens next year.
Well, I hope so. I hope it works out, because that's one of my plans too. Not to go on tour or anything, but to get back to Japan. Yeah. We're now online, obviously, and people are watching this live. And obviously the pandemic has knocked back all live performances in real life, as it were. But I've noticed, apart from the YouTubes, that you've not seemed to have done any online shows. Quite a lot of people are doing concerts. Is this a conscious decision, or is it just something that just like things have just got in the way?
Yes. So we had requests for online shows and concerts, and we really wanted to do it, and we checked our technical abilities on how to make this a nice experience, because we don't want to scare anyone away from the shamisen. That's not in our interest. And on top of that, it was during a time, especially April and March, when there was lots of social distancing restrictions, restrictions due to COVID-19, and we were the three of us socially distancing from each other.
Yeah.
And when we started rehearsing, we had to find a new space with more space to do so. And it was really hard to get a shot, all three of us, in a camera with nice sound.
Yes.
While sitting 2 meters apart. So.
And also, I mean, we're using now basically consumer grade. I am using consumer grade like streaming things. It's all free and everything, and it's going all very well. But I remember last year or the year before, sort of, we were having Wi-Fi problems and buffering and all that business. And I've read up about live streaming and all the equipment that you really need to, it's quite expensive and difficult. So yes, I can appreciate staying offline. Yeah. Now another thing, this the whole show is shamisen, right? With the occasional flute. Yeah, how often do you listen to shamisen music? I mean, do you go through the entire day listening to shamisen music, or do you just like turn on the radio?
You want to answer that?
Because we like had a quick look at your your interview questions before, and we were laughing at me because my answer to this question is never. I never listen to music. And no, I mean, I also play the violin, and I never listen to violin music either. I don't know why that is. I think I go through phases, and we also discussed the fact that when, for example, when we're studying a particular piece or a particular style or a rhythm on shamisen that we want to get really into, of course, we will listen to other shamisen players playing that. But in my free time, when I'm like on the train and stuff, I listen to a lot of like hip hop, R&B, like this kind of music. So it's really far away from shamisen music. I don't know. And Shio-chan, what do you usually listen to?
I listen more jazz or folk music, so not shamisen.
Sorry,
yeah, it's kind of clears the tubes a bit, I suppose. Yeah, keeps you fresh.
I actually haven't been listening to music much recently since we're all staying at home, and I usually listen to music when I'm on the way. So in public transport or in the car, being on a CD or something. So I'm missing on that, and I'm not listening to music much recently.
Not quite sure whether this is a positive admission from three musicians, but I don't know. Shamisen, three shamisen players. We don't listen to music. So when you're not listening to shamisen music, what is your favorite beer to drink when?
Yeah. So usually when we perform, we don't drink during performances. So
well, you did last year.
During a performance?
Not during the performance. I think you had it just before. That's right. Yeah.
It must have been so much that we forgot. Yeah, but usually we drink what what they serve where we perform. So there's usually a beer that they serve.
All right. Yeah, there's no particular sort of type that you this is what shamisen players drink.
I mean, yeah, we talked about this as well for, otsukare-sama, like when we finish a gig and we have a drink together and we have a toast. If we can get our hands on some sake, of course, we will always choose sake over beer.
Yes. Yeah. Expensive stuff, though, sake. I mean,
but actually, like Shio-chan, you were saying you prefer anyway German beer than Japanese beer, right?
Yeah, I prefer more German beer somehow.
I
don't know. Yeah, it's good. Oh yeah.
That's why we didn't go to Japan this year.
It was too much. Yeah.
Couldn't live without German beer.
Well, have you had some? Perhaps it's now time to have some beer because we're coming up for the final piece.
We don't have any beer with us.
No.
I just have a glass of water. That's very boring. That's beer with all of the
goodness taken out.
It was beer, but then I removed all the barley, hops, and malt and everything. Diet beer, exactly.
Diet beer.
Touch my waistline.
So what's
shall we
the
go
final
with
piece? What's the
Yeah.
final piece you're going to play? This is for all those in the audience who like good old shamisen. This is and getting your bon on, because Shiomi's going to be sort of making some ringing noises.
Yeah. Cute. Yes, and we have a new
Ooh.
addition. We have the Shime Daiko, which Tina's going
Ah.
to be playing.
Cool.
And we're going to play you a song called Hokkai Bon Uta, which is a Bon Odori song, right? From Hokkaido.
Brilliant.
And yeah, that's all. Yeah. Is there anything you
Okay.
girls want to add before we play?
All right, everybody stand up. Everybody stand, not who in the audience, stand up, and if you know how to do bon dancing, here we go. Hey! I have to admit that I was sat down through and all that, but sorry.
Where's our dance performance? Now it's your turn to dance.
I did, but I've sent a link for this to watch to a lady in California called Tsuguru Terry. I don't know whether you've ever heard of her, but she's a shamisen player, and I've been trying to get her on the show for ages. And I have done the Soran Bushi dance twice with a green screen and all fishing things going on behind me to try and convince her to come on the show. So I have done this sort of dancing. Tomo from Shikoku says almost all Japanese people know this song. Oh, there you go.
Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Tomo.
And you're getting lots of clap emojis from everybody. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I enjoyed that. Oh,
thank you. Thanks so much for having us. It was such a pleasure.
And one day when the government allow it, I shall contact you and we shall all meet up and hang out in Berlin. Or you could come to Belgium, whichever you prefer. It's up to you.
Yeah, don't you dare sit down when we play Bonodori.
Okay. Ooh, I've been told. Okay, everybody. I'd like to thank Mitsune, Tina, Yuka, and Shiomi for being such good guests again, and entertaining us all and informing us all. And I would like to thank you for joining the audience and commenting. And next week on the show, it will be Stuffer, which won't mean anything to Mitsune, but to those of you who know, I've been trying to get Stuffer on for ages, and they'll be my guests next week. But for now, thank you all for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the show. And I'll say goodbye to Mitsune, and I'll say goodbye to you, and see you all again next week. Bye, everybody. Thank you.